Hello, welcome to Daily Smith News. This is the news channel where we talk about when Smith will happen. Today we've got another person that has been around the Litecoin animated Java area, and they have shown some very interesting parts about it and how they use it to make these really cool, awesome fights. This is Taka. Welcome.
Hi.
So, just to the audience, would you like to introduce yourself and what you do?
Yeah, so as mentioned, I am Taco. The project, as mentioned, is Custom Entity API, and basically, the tool is built to be really accessible to anyone who has a little bit of animation experience, and you don't need that much data pack experience in order to use it. And what it lets you do is basically add custom entities to the game. When you use a regular mob as the base AI for the mob to like walk around. If you want it to target players, it can be a hostile mob, whatever. And the actual custom part of the mob is covered by animated Java. So you'll have that AI that's the invisible mob, and then whatever you want the mob to look like, any animations you want it to play, that gets covered by animated Java.
And that's really cool to hear. So, something that I find very interesting about these type of packs is they're less so content based, more so like back end of things, which is I think a very
Yeah.
interesting place to come from. So, what inspired you, and why did you make something that's like this?
Yeah, so Custom Entity API actually kind of has a very interesting history. Um, I, several years ago, I want to say maybe 3 years ago, coming up on four, had a project called Taco SMP. And it was basically, for anyone that knows what content SMP is, it's very similar to that, where basically a bunch of friends would join a server and in content SMP specifically, they would make mods for the server, and it would be kind of narrative driven. So there would be like lore and story. And Taco SMP was very similar, except I would be the only one adding stuff. So I really enjoy like cinematics and boss fights and stuff like that in Minecraft. So that was basically what I did. I would make boss fights for my friends, and eventually we put it into a really big server called Taco SMP that has had 2 successful chapters. And we were working on a chapter 3 before I was to go off to college. And unfortunately, the scope was a bit too big. And Custom Entity API kind of got built within Taco SMP chapter 3. And because it was kind of not necessarily tossed to the side, but chapter 3 wasn't going to be a thing anymore, I was able to continue work on Custom Entity API in another private server I have called MCRP, which is also very similar. It's just narrative driven, but instead of being in survival, it's in creative, so it's like a role play server where we also do boss fights. So Custom Entity API kept being worked on in MCRP. And again, so its major thing is really these boss fights. And as I kept making boss fights, a lot of it was kind of just hard coded. Like if you dealt damage to a mob with this specific tag or this specific name, it would try and play an attack or whatnot. And eventually, I was making so many boss fights that I was like, okay, I should stop hard coding this stuff. So Custom Entity API was kind of born off of that, and it was kind of built to be for a game project. So some game design did go into it, and you'll see in the booth that there are special attack types, that being heavy attacks, parryable attacks, and reaction attacks. So those kind of give the player a bit more of a fighting experience rather than it just being like hit the mob till it dies kind of thing, like the Wither or the Ender Dragon or any of the regular basic Minecraft mobs.
That's very cool to hear how this like giant backstory how this come to be. But yeah, so
Yeah.
I know that there's some really cool stuff, like you mentioned, it be more custom, less so punch a thing until it dies. And I've actually seen what you've put in your booth. So would you like to tell us a little bit about that in general?
Yeah, so the booth, the top part, is mostly just kind of explaining how the system works, what customizations the player has access to. Well, not the player, but the person working with the system. But the main part of the booth is going to be the boss fight, which is one that I completely made for Summit. So it's not ported from anywhere. The concept actually came from having discussions with Snave, who is the owner of the Animated Java booth, and kind of playing into these, not necessarily story, but I'm used to story, so the what's going on with Summit. So the boss fight is called the Redstone Excavator, and he's a guy who kind of digs underground and collects resources in order to fuel the our three booths in that area. And he's just a pretty simple example of what you can make with Custom Entity API. You really can make anything just because it's an API system, as long as you have the skills to do animation and modeling. It's limitless. So the Redstone Excavator is just a small example. It's got all the different attack types, and just shows off the system as a whole.
Yeah, that is really cool to hear. So I know that you have actually based up near Animated Java and other projects such as Vanilla Art Studios who also use Animated Java. So how has it been working with this other group of vendors all on the same server to actually build all your booths together?
It's been really cool. I mean, I think it's really great to kind of get to know the community, and also because I've been using animated Java for so long, it's been really cool talking to Snave. When you're using something for so long, you're like, oh my gosh, like this is the person who made the tool, but they're just regular people, just like you and me. So it's cool to just conversate with everyone, work on our booths together. We actually have a shared booth server too, where we push all of our changes through GitHub, data pack changes, stuff like that. And Snave has set it up pretty well, so it's really easy to keep the workflow going. I also made some renders that are actually featured in the animated Java booth, of booth activities while we've been working, just like some bugs and stuff that we've encountered while making the booths. So tune in to see those in the booth, the AJ booth as well. But yeah, it's been really cool working with um, Vanilla Ride Studios and Animated Java, just interacting with everyone. I'm actually completely new to Summit as well as the Smith community. The C API is kind of the only thing that I've ever really publicized. I have a Minecraft map that's on minecraftmaps.com, but that's got to be 6 years old by now. So it's really cool being able to kind of join the community, I guess.
Yeah, that was really cool to hear. So you mentioned about working with others with all their projects and how like crazy they are and whatnot. And so I thought to ask you about people's booths on the server in general. Is there any that have caught your eye that you've been looking around with? Anything that you think's really cool?
I haven't had that much time to look around the booths, but I'm really excited for Summit to start because my plan is to literally go through every booth. I want to know everything. I want to, find possible collaborations for the future, or just see the cool tools that everyone has to offer. I have taken a look, not taken a look, but I have had conversation with the Not Undertale booth. I think that's really cool. Most of my projects actually started off with being a really big Undertale fan. So I have a bunch of like Undertale things, random projects, like having Sans powers on that server I was talking about, MCRP, where you can spawn bones and shoot the blasters that he has and stuff like that. Um, so that's the only booth that I have kind of seen a little bit about and heard of, and it seems like they have the entire Undertale battle system in Minecraft, which is crazy. But it's really cool to see and hear about all of these other projects because I think a big thing with Summit is we're really getting all these different types of projects together. And I think it's crazy because one of the biggest things here is that we're all vanilla. There's no mods, there's no plugin activity going on. So we're really restricted to the things that we can do. But I think that's good because there's so many cool niche ways that solutions are found in order to make your dream project. So I think going around all the booths and seeing everything that is actually going to be in Summit is going to be really exciting.
Yeah, well, that's really cool to hear that you've maybe kept your eye turned away so you can explore it for the first time through uh, the eyes of a person who's maybe watching this video. So similar to that, with like people watching this video, is there anything that you would like to say to them about Summit in general? Anything that you would like to tell them?
Um, I would say I would say follow in my steps and visit every booth. I mean, you never know what you're going to find. You might find something really cool that you've never heard of before, that you might be interested in. Um, I know that a lot of these tools, a lot of these things are not necessarily tools like what I have, but you might find something that is a data pack that you can use in like a mod pack with your friends. I know a lot of the people here have stuff on Modrinth. There's actually some projects that I've actually played before and be like, holy crap, this is in Summit? That's crazy. Like Roguecraft, for example, I'm pretty sure, I can't remember when, but I'm pretty sure I played that data pack a long time ago with a friend of mine. And I was like, oh my god, that's so strange that they're here. So I would say like 100% Summit. Get through everything you can, see what there is, and you might find something cool.
Yeah, that's really cool to hear. So I know that you've sort of taken residence in the state shores, this red beachy area, and a little bit of the light quarry, where you've been interacting with a lot of those people. Um, so, I was just wondering, is there a specific place that isn't those two that you've seen in the world? Maybe one of the other regions or a different biome that you also thought was quite interesting.
I have done some exploration on the um, vendor server here. Not really seen any other booth builds just yet. I know that in the current state that we are, there are some booths that are pasted within the world. I haven't done any exploration just yet. I did log on to see my booth, so that was cool. But I do really just like the main spawn area. Um, there's definitely something to be said about the fact that it's on top of a mountain, summit, wink, wink. But I think the main spawn area is really nice just to get you around to all the three different main areas. But I do, again, I'm kind of like, I'm kind of keeping myself out of the know to be able to experience everything firsthand when I actually get to participating in Summit once it's open. But I am really interested to explore all the areas myself.
Huh. Yeah, that's really cool to hear. So, one more thing about you and your project is that you told us how old like the concept and like the spirit of this project has been, and
Yeah.
how it's like over like the course of like years at this point, like taken form and like shape. And I know that it uses stuff like animated Java, which are um, resources that do update quite regularly. So would you like tell us a little bit maybe about the where you see the future of this project going?
Yeah, so one of the biggest things that has changed with animated Java recently is you can now use custom namespaces. Previously, all commands would be under the animated underscore Java namespace. Um, and C API would basically just, that's it. Just you use animated underscore Java because that's the only thing that existed. But as more animated Java updates come out, I do plan on making changes to C API just to make sure that it still functions, still works with the tool that's kind of intertwined with it. One of the biggest things, I think, I'm not sure if this will happen after Summit or before, but I am going to make sure that C API supports the new custom namespaces that animated Java has, because that's pretty big. It defaults to AJ, so that's just kind of what it's been right now. But I'm definitely looking into making some new changes that will keep this project available moving forwards after Summit and for as long as I can think of, really. This is a pretty big project for me.
Nice. Right. So really good to hear then. So we talked a little bit about you, about your project, about your booth, and about Summit. So I feel like we've covered all bases really. So is there anything that you would like to say to the audience as a final send-off message?
Um, I don't know. I mean, join Summit. If you know what, I got something. So, I was honestly a little bit scared to fill out the submission form. I was like, I don't know if my project's good enough. Like, there's going to be like the reason I learned about Summit actually is because of the animated Java Discord server. Snave posted an announcement and he mentioned, hey, animated Java is going to be at Summit this year, and kind of described what Summit was, a Minecraft world, basically kind of like an art fair here, where you get to explore people's vanilla projects. And I was like, wow, that's the kind of stuff that I do. So I took a look and I was like, I was kind of scared. I wasn't sure I was going to do it. And I told all my friends about it and they were like, come on, like this is what you've been doing for years. You have to submit something. And I went ahead and I submitted something and I'm really glad I did, because this, even just making the booths, we haven't even played Summit yet. It's not even, it's not even August. But just the experience of being here and working on the booth and interacting with people has been amazing. And I think one of the biggest things is I did kind of feel some imposter syndrome when I was looking at everything that was going on and talking with people and the general discussion. And I think one of the biggest things here as a vendor, and even for anyone watching this that has a small project, is that what you're bringing to Summit is a unique piece of media, a unique piece of content. And that's something that you should remember. And whether, Summit next year, Summit the year after that, if you have something small, just pop in, just make a submission. I mean, we have 75 people this year. And as far as I'm concerned, I believe 2 years ago when there was the previous summit, I think it was less than 75, right?
Oh yeah, much less. There was
Yeah,
I don't have exact numbers, but it was probably around 50 last Summit. I think it was
yeah,
51.
yeah. Um, but yeah, I mean, is the numbers are going to keep growing. So if you have a little project that you think you want more coverage on, you think is cool, um, I mean, stick around in the Smith server. Just see when the next summit is. Just submit something. Best case scenario, you get in. Worst case scenario, submit again next year.
Oh, nice. But yeah. So thanks for saying that to the audience. Any links provided will be put in the description of the video. And yeah. Thank you all for watching. There has been news on Smith Summit, and I'll speak with you tomorrow.